Maybe melee? Let's enter our name first, though.
Okay, let's do that.
What?
What?
Did you break it?
I did. Only a little bit, though. We're actually going to be speedrunning Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. The original one, originally released on the Game Boy, not the Game Boy Color remake, or Game Boy Color remake of. Oh, yeah, that's right. I have the timer. 3, 2, 1, go. This is not the. Oh.
You're fine.
Oh, okay.
All we hear is see his angry gestures. We're like, we're not supposed
He's
to
like,
start?
what's going on behind the desk?
But yeah, like Mike was saying, this is the original version, not the DX version, as
Right.
a lot of the glitches which are going to be used in this run were patched out in the DX version, or have different iterations which are not as much use, especially for this particular category,
Let's
which
see if we can-
is not melee. It is going to be 100% reverse boss order. So what that means is we're going to be using a numerous amount of tricks in order to collect all of the, what's the definition of all of the items in this, and also while getting doing the bosses in reverse order.
Yes. And we're going to find out eventually that 100% is not necessarily 100%. We're going to be picking up all the items that can go in our inventory, every key, heart piece, heart container, all the usable items, all those sorts of things. But we're not going to be picking up all of the seashells. Once you pick up 20 seashells and turn them in, the rest of them all disappear. And we just talked right through.
Two really kind of neat tricks.
Yeah.
So the first one, which is going to be used a lot, is called the screen wrapping. So by opening the map in the right pixel as you're transitioning the screen, it allows you to appear on the other side of the next screen. So we're definitely going to be using that a lot. And also did what I believe was a super jump over the side, which wrapped the map all the way over to the Turtle Rock Warp. And by all we wanted to do is go on that screen to activate it. We couldn't actually use it yet, and it's a potential soft lock if you don't save and quit where we did.
Right.
So.
And so you can see that one little tile I've got there on the top left of the map is actually where we wrapped around the map to go to the warp zone by Dungeon 8. I wanted to get that screen warp.
So a lot of the stuff which we're doing right at the beginning, we're not doing the reverse boss order yet. Right now we're item collecting to make it possible to do the reverse boss order. And
I had a hard time counting to 3. I'm going to have to do that again.
So what that strange room is that is called the Kennel World. And it is accessed by killing a certain number of monsters depending on where you want to appear in the Kennel World. And then pushing and kind of abusing the way doors work. And we usually use Bow Wow's house in order to do that. So in this case, for this very first warp, we only want to kill 3 enemies in order to access that Kennel World. Every Kennel World we access past that is going to be a 6 enemy kill. So you can usually tell when the screen wrap has actually worked, and sometimes it just saves some time, but other times it's completely necessary to do. So yeah, by going into that Bow Wow's door kind of diagonally, we get into this weird world. And the reason it works so well is, and why there's so much in this game, is because rather than having as many maps as it looks like we have, there's actually just 4 separate maps of 16 by 16. And so if you just walk along those, it kind of grabs the different pieces it needs to build a dungeon as you go. And so it means if we can access those maps as is, we can kind of warp to parts of the dungeons and different dungeons that we're not supposed to be at. And by using that Rock's Feather, we were also able to go out of bounds and walk on sections which are not meant to be walked on. So we will not be duplicating any items. Like, we will be accessing them at the wrong time and getting dungeons in weird ways. But the items we are getting are in the spots they originally should be. Either we're manipulating the game to kind of push it that way, or sometimes the sprites get a little broken. But first, we are going to abuse the fact that we can steal things in this game and save a whole lot of money. But first, unfortunately, stealing does not pay. And so you have to pay for your crimes. And more specifically, we need to buy some bombs. So we need the poor shopkeeper to let us back in. And we also need a bow. So we have learned absolutely nothing from our previous choices, and we're walking right back out. So, but we just saved, what was that, like thousands of
Yes, yes.
rupees?
Now, if you want to steal items without stealing items, you can buy them, with actual money. But if you save and quit while the game is taking money out of your pocket, you'll save whatever money hasn't been taken out yet. So you can actually save yourself quite a lot of cash that way as well. If you don't want to be a thief, because being a thief, it actually changes your name in the game. Everybody will call you thief from that point on. And if you get killed by the shopkeeper, you don't get the special ending for not getting killed.
But we're not so worried about the special ending. We're just worried about looting and pillaging. So currently making sure to get the ocarina. And from what I was advised, the ocarina is actually optional, but we're using the ocarina for peace and love purposes rather than bombs and explosions, which is the alternate. And apparently we also kill old ladies. We're nice people. So a lot of these glitches really just kind of break the sprite sheet. So which means we have old ladies who are sweeping and throwing things, other old ladies at you. And if we get things perfectly, we will see a few other broken sprite sheets.
Oh, tons.
So part of the collection rate is that we do need to get all of the different heart pieces. So we are going to be fishing a couple of times in the run. So specifically, we are looking for that big fish back down at the bottom. But that little fish likes to get in our way, so we just collect it to move it so we can get to the fish directly below us.
Got him.
Yes, bait's so tasty. Come here. Delicious. So, no, we do not want to fish again. Or do we? Oh, look!
Nope.
We have used fish to break things. Oh, hi, Bow Wow. Collecting yet another seashell, because as explained, there are technically 26 seashells on the map, but only 20 are required in order to get the max reward, which is the level 2 sword. So it only counts 20 seashells as being part of the 100% qualifier of this route. So, and once you have turned in those 20 seashells, the other remaining 6 just disappear. So you don't worry about them too much. And it means if for some reason you happen to forget one on your way, there are a few backup routing ones. So while everything looks really weird on the maps when you're in the kennel world, stairs still work really well. So in order to get back into the dungeons so we can get proper items, often we will be using stairs in order to properly traverse back. But it doesn't mean we're not going to use screen warping, to get random dungeon keys and such while we're at it. Sometimes by using the kennel world as well, the music can get kind of messed up. So along with the tile sets. That was rude, skeleton. Why would you do that?
He's stuck now.
Yeah, I thought
Oh,
we
no.
were
No, here he comes.
Oh, skeleton, please. So we did get the Pegasus boots. So I believe, if I'm correct, that is the last item we need before we start.
We gotta grab the flippers first.
Okay, the flippers, and then we can start doing our actual reverse order. There are more items we're definitely going to be picking up along the way, but we can be picking those up while we progress through all 8 dungeons and then to the final boss. So, and let me tell you, I only saw this category for the first time, I think, this week. It is magical. It gets only better from here, especially since we have, like, 3 hearts, not very many items. Just a little bit squishy. That's why those slimes can be a little terrifying. So, just making sure to get a few more of our kills, I believe, unless we're at 6 already.
No, we're good at 6.
Okay,
Just
perfect.
gotta get to where I'm going. Ah!
Take that,
I
puppy.
did not mean to hit the dog.
Note to
now
self,
I got half
do
a,
not hit the
now
dog.
I got half a heart.
Don't be
This
like
is,
Natara and kill the dog.
This is not ideal.
No.
Now I gotta actually be careful.
Yeah, this looks more than a
There's
little
one guy
terrifying.
right here with a sword. This guy. This guy.
Wow.
Just leave me alone.
Is that Wart there? Or Mort, sorry?
That's part of, yeah, that actually is the word sprite. I don't usually pay attention, but that's like a quarter of his face.
That is
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, so these maps are totally fine. They're not broken whatsoever.
I need to fish for a heart. Yeah, alright.
Sometimes RNG is in your favor. So doing the bosses and the dungeons in the orders that we the order that we do, at first is a little scary because, of course, we're going to say level 8 and are incredibly squishy. However, the payoff is good, and it means by the end we are bringing absolutely amazing items to, say, Dungeon 1, which is
Yep, I'm stuck.
So yeah, sometimes in doing the screen warping you will get stuck in an item, but thankfully a save and quit will protect you from that. There are a couple of consequences from some of these glitches where if you get them you actually have to reset, not save and quit. If you do choose to save and quit in those spots, you have saved the soft lock and you are done. So taking advantage of the warp points that we opened right at the beginning of the run, making our way to our next item we need. So yeah, we will have full hearts by the end, so we may be squishy now, but not for long. So one of the things about this particular game, which is a lot of fun, is the fact that it was kind of made as just a fun game at first. So there's a lot of enemies are just characters who you're like, they look a little familiar.
Right.
So, and they just kind of hide all over the map in different spots. So one character you will not see if everything is done correctly is the owl. We do everything in our power to dodge that owl. Mike just doesn't like owls, apparently.
Nope.
No time for owls. Which I also read was not the same owl that's in Ocarina of Time.
It is not. It's just an owl.
Yeah. It is an owl, not the owl. Still, we don't like owls. So, this boss is scary because its hits do 4 points of damage, and as you can see from our hearts, even at max health, we have 3. So getting hit is not good at all, but we did pick up the magic rod, which it is weak against. So very quickly, taking out that boss, and getting ready to pick up our first instrument of 8. And a little more health to help us out. Let's get that drum beat on. So that magic rod is actually going to be used for some tricks that we're going to be using coming up, where we are going to basically overrun the buffer of some of the screens with fireballs so no enemies spawn. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So it makes it extra good that we get it so early. It allows us to do tricks like that. Plus, it's just a great weapon. Sometimes you need to do a bit more damage. Also, bomb arrows.
Yeah, I don't know how many games actually have bomb arrows in them, now that I think about it.
Yeah, not as many as we'd like to think. We just enjoy the games, I think, that do have the bomb arrows a lot. So we need to make sure not to, at this point, use up too many bombs. Because there are some tricks that do require us to have bombs in order to activate them. So getting our next secret seashell. So yeah, even though all of that floor up there looks like it's walkable, technically you're not supposed to be up there. There is no in-game, non-glitchy way to access those ceilings, even though they're the same floor type. But they do still allow you to walk on them, so we are going to take great advantage of that. Well, thankfully, most of the seashells are mostly on our way. Also, those mini troll dorms do not get any less mean. So one of the things, or sorry, 3 of the things we're going to be collecting right now are all 3 of the Mad Batter upgrades. So those are less important and more for 100% completion. Though we definitely don't say no to the added upgrades that they provide us.
Right. Especially for the more mainstream categories where your ammo number is very, very important. Even if it's not in the route, it's good to maybe pick up one of these to max out your bombs, especially. It can be very, very helpful as you're learning the route. Or for races, tournaments, stuff like that. You'll know you'll be able to finish the run that way. And not be like me and in a tournament where you're actually keeping up with somebody who's much better than you, run out of bombs and lose like 10 minutes trying to make your way through Turtle Rock.
Yeah, that does not sound fun.
It's not fun.
No. So it looks like all of the Mad Batter spots are all on the maps next to each other, which makes it pretty easy to go and collect them all. It's very nice of them to program it like this. Definitely developer intended.
Exactly. But yeah, I can see one of the entrances up by Dungeon 8 where we just were. One is on the very, very southern part of the map, and the other one's in the forest and like the west northwestern part of the map. So we definitely skipped a whole lot of running around. But I'm still gonna make my way from this area, so I gotta go all the way back.
But we have boots.
Get down the. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Moldorm, otherwise known as
Just
troll dorms, are no less trolly
Did
than
not
they
want me
are
to go down the steps.
in their parents' game of Link to the Past.
That was not the screen warp I wanted. We're gonna make. I think I can make it work.
I have faith. Skull, please. You were not invited to the
Sorry.
screen warping party. Yeah.
Make it left.
Took a
Damn.
wrong turn at the skull.
A little bit. There we go.
There we go. And there's just a key lying here.
Yep, this one's for Dungeon 7, which lets me skip this room, which also lets me skip the skip for this room. So that was the Rooster skip. The Rooster skip is definitely one of the toughest tricks to learn if you're playing an inbounds only category. You have to make Link basically hover through that room using the hook shot and certain other items to just get an infinite number of jumps to get through. Wow, I'm holding right and he's just not going right. There we go. But since I accidentally went in the cave, we can actually take a peek in on our good old friend Luigi here in a second.
Luigi,
Yep,
so happy. And we got another seashell.
very
Doesn't
quickly
seem-
because
yeah.
we're on a timer. But yep, he's over there
Hey, Luigi.
taking care of roosters.
Thanks. We appreciate your effort, your hard work. Taking care of the rooster we're not using. While we chill through this cave. Yeah, this is definitely much nicer than walking the intended ways. You're like,
Yes.
why would you? Up to 5 hearts. So as you can see, you probably recognize some of these spots from the beginning of the game, which is certainly where I'm more familiar with the game. You just kind of walk through and it's I'm pretty happy. I think we're, at some point soon, we eventually do make our way right back to the beginning in the forest because we have a friend here who's been waiting for some for some help from us. But we've been a little busy, you know, getting items, saving the world.
It's a useless little glitch there,
We'll just grab part of the wall. Don't worry about it. Tanuki, no. This is why you do not eat strange mushrooms in the
Exactly.
forest. You were warned about that. So getting our next key, or another key, I should say. Can't talk. Gotta go.
Oh, that's not gonna. Yeah. So screen warping is not a frame perfect trick. It's actually pretty easy to do. It's only in the original Game Boy release. Unfortunately, if I'm trying to get through a solid wall like that, your timing definitely does matter. Because Link might move a little bit before the screen warp actually finishes, and if he does that, you're not going to be able to walk through the screen transition.
Yeah, so Marin is just having a bit of a bad day. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Her song is still lovely.
Absolutely.
That puppy is entranced. So yeah, that's one of the sprite sheet corruptions we mentioned earlier, where she is now a moblin.
I like how when she dances, it works fine, but when she's just facing at me, the sprite breaks.
Yeah, you're like, no, we can't do that. Yeah, the old ladies do the same thing.
Yeah.
Woo! We have earned our first song, and we will gain all 3 songs for anyone who was curious about that. So that'll be some
Yo.
excitement later. Oh, she's back to normal.
We're done here. Now we can make our way to Dungeon 7.
Excellent. So yeah, 100% does not mean opening up every single chest, because some of them just have rupees or unnecessary
Right.
items in them. Or again, the extraneous of the seashells that we are not going to be required to collect.
Right. Now, if you actually try to go and find those extra seashells, after they disappear, they turn into rupees. There we go.
So when you do this, is this the dungeon where you have to chase around your kind of
Yes.
fake escort quest with a ball,
Yes.
literally a cannonball,
Yes.
where you're supposed to be escorting it around to different spots so you can knock down pillars and stuff. But you know what? We don't have time for that. That was a bit of a
No.
nonsense quest right from the get-go. So using screen warps and such, or screen wraps, Mike is going to not do that at all and just go right to the boss.
I think I lost my clip. There we go. That super jump is a little bit different than every other one because I need to do like a half super jump. I need to not jump as far or I get stuck in the other wall north of it. So it's the one jump that's just a little bit different.
So is that a second shield or an upgraded shield?
That is the level 2 shield, the mirror shield, which is used to get to Turtle Rock. That we already did that, but
Very nice.
that's okay.
And there's some Goombas, some more visiting friends. And now, boss time.
Yep. I'm just gonna hang out right here on the ladder because I still only have one heart.
Yeah, I believe there is a quick kill for this, where if you're just a little bit further up, you can.
Yeah, you can. I can actually. Nah, I better not.
Yeah.
I better not. I do not have confidence in it because I'm not very good at that particular strategy anyway. But you just hang out here, and when he flies off the top of the screen, you want him to fly off the top of the screen right where the ladder is. And when he flies off the top of the screen here, you can just shoot down, and his hitbox is still there, so you can hit him when he's off the screen.
Nice. So in a marathon setting, as cool as some of the tricks are, better to be safe. So it's 2 bosses down.
The oh my gosh, since it just happened, the ocarina is the worst thing to deal with in the menu. I do not speedrun Link to the Past, but I've heard that the bottles there are just terrible for menuing and speedrunning. It opens up a second box, so you can't move left and right because the box needs you to move left and right. So you have to move down and left and up just to get around the ocarina to pick the item right. It's the worst.
Yeah.
Absolutely the
bottles
worst.
definitely do the exact same Link to the Past.
Once you play randomizer and then they just fix all the menus, it's great.
Yes. But nobody plays randomizer. Nobody.
Nobody.
Nobody. Okay. So what is next on our list?
We're headed, we're going to pick up another heart container that's out in the moat here. That's usually the one, if somebody's like missing one, they can't figure out where it is, this is usually the one. It's very well hidden. Because at some point you're just going to be like, I'm not diving under all this water. Like, at some point people will just give up on that quest. Be like, there's no way it's just hiding somewhere in the water randomly.
Yeah.
That would be just evil. Why would they hide it there with no clue whatsoever? It's right here.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely not very nice.
No.
So I remember thinking this screen warp coming up is a really fun one.
Yeah, because it's you want to do the same thing. You got to open up the menu as you're moving from one screen to the other, but the water changes all of your movement physics.
Yeah.
It takes longer to get momentum, takes longer to stop your momentum. Everything's just a little bit different.
So now the monkey just chilling out there brings up the point of we do not pick up every fetch quest item. They are not required. They're not really a collection item. You're just picking one up, trading to another. There's a few glitches which are done where we're going to kind of out of sequence pick up some of the items, and so we will continue and finish the fetch quest that way.
This is why I never have any health.
Yeah.
Right
Fish
there.
why. This is why we can't have nice things.
So we're actually going to pass right by the Mad Hatter room again. Come on. Oh, don't fall. Oh, please don't fall through. It's alright. So if you don't get that screen warp, you end up stuck on that corner tile. It's not a big deal because you can just save and quit and go right back and take another shot at it. But there are some places where if you zone into the room incorrectly, you will just hard lock the game.
Yeah.
Thankfully, that is not one of them.
So I believe the money's being picked up because there is something we need that needs to be paid for in a little bit.
Yes, we need 300 rupees. We need about 350 rupees. So some of that's going to go to buying the secret potion. The rest of that is going to go to learning Song 3. I didn't get it.
Bomb arrows.
Ooh.
Just saying.
I almost forgot to grab the bracelet.
Do
I was gone, man.
So that
was
is, yeah. So with the level 2 bracelet, we can now lift more things than previously, which does come in handy a couple spots.
well. I think it does it definitely does in a casual playthrough. I think we bypass everything we would need it for.
That's what it seemed to notice when I was watching. I was like, in the speedrun, we don't really use it. Like
No,
the level 1 bracelet's a lot more important, but. So, fun trick with this one, the hitbox for this boss is actually there and available to damage before it fully starts summoning. So, because of the nature, it's a really tight window to get the 3 hits on that boss before it starts talking. Because you have to, while he was screen warping or wrapping into that room, he did have to pick up that bottle and smash it, so that was cutting into his time. But getting the 3 bomb hits before the text box when this boss only takes 5 hits is really excellent. So next boss, down.
Yep, and that's very easy to do if you're just playing casually going through the front door. It's so easy to at least get 2 hits in, if not all 3. Makes that boss fight a lot easier.
Triangle best instrument, am I right?
Absolutely. It's so happy.
So happy.
And you also see we haven't opened Dungeon 6 yet. Thankfully, you can walk on top of it when it's not open. You can do the same thing in Dungeon 7. You can go into Dungeon 7 without unlocking it, but the tower's still there, so you're stuck in the tower.
That sounds less fun, but considering we're not taking traditional routes to get places, not really an issue here, thankfully.
Nope. Oh my gosh. Get down the steps.
Zora's,
Steps
please.
are just killing me today.
That's what I'm saying. Steps or stairs are the final boss of like any game. Should just have games that are stairless.
Get up there.
There we go. So a few more seashells as we go, and we did show the mermaid there. We are playing the Japanese version, so rather than picking up the necklace as we do in the English version, we will be picking up her bikini top. But that is part of the version that we are, or the fetch quest that we are going to be doing. So that will give us access to the Lens of Truth, which is required as part of our collection rate. So I hope you like fishing, because it is time. So the trick I mentioned earlier about bombs is if you just suddenly need to trigger some sort of event, if you just drop, I think it's 4 bombs in a close enough window,
Yes.
then you actually trigger the
bombs,
event.
I'm sorry, two
2 bombs. 2 bombs in the certain frame window. Yeah, you still trigger the event without having to actually do the thing you were trying to trigger.
Right.
So we were able to bypass that part of the fetch quest to just get her bikini top.
Exactly. Yeah, it's 2 bombs in a 4-frame window,
Okay.
and
I knew 4
that's the
was
only time I use it here. But you can anything that requires the ocarina, you can use bomb triggers for it. The pillars in Dungeon 7 can be knocked down with that trick, and the big old walrus over by Animal Village, you can make the singing start and make him go away with the bomb glitch as well. It opens up Turtle Rock as well without needing the ocarina, which is an important feature of that glitch as well.
But then we would miss out on so many songs. So it's already starting to become a little clear that the further Mike goes in the dungeon, so close, that the easier it gets for some things because you just have powerful items you're really just not intended to have yet. Plus he's taking the ones you are intended to have and using them in non-intended ways. So it helps.
I missed. You couldn't get hit by that, huh? Get over here. Get over here.
Yeah, like skeleton, please. So this is a very particular screen wrap. So what he did is he just turned that key into a hook shot. Now that is not an item duplication.
Right.
Every item with a secret item has a specific secret item. So what he did is he just triggered the secret item of one room and screen wrapped over to the next room. So the game just went, oh, a key's not, what is the secret item of this room? Oh, it's the hook shot. So it just changed the key into the hook shot, which you would have gathered in that room anyways.
Right.
So.
That lets me skip not one, but 4 mini-boss fights in this dungeon that all take a fair amount of time. That's a very big time save.
Who has time for mini-bosses, really? So yeah, that should finish our money collection as well.
Yeah, we're got plenty now.
So, and you did see that the game lagged a bit there, and that's just anyone who's played any amount of retro games just knows there's certain sections which are going to lag. But I bring it up because he is about to try and do the trick where he's
there it is.
buffering with the fire rod, so there's no enemies in that room anymore. And sometimes you notice a bit of a lag when that's happening, especially when actively entering the room. So. Sometimes it's a normal lag, and sometimes it's we just absolutely broke the game lag.
Oh.
Oh, that was close. So, and thankfully, unlike some of the other Zelda games, the way the save and quitting works in this game is it just remembers the last kind of transitional door you went through and brings you to that one. So it's kind of like the mirror functions in A Link to the Past. When you want to go to the beginning of the dungeon, it's just easier to save and quit. So again, with the magic rod trick, just overwhelming the room with fireballs. I mean, is that not the way to progress? That's how I like to travel. Fireballs. Fireballs everywhere. Go.
There we go.
So same thing there. Saw the lag. And that is definitely what we call non-traditional movement.
Exactly. I have no idea how to clear this dungeon anymore. Because I don't know how you actually get to the other side of the room you're supposed to. I have no idea how to get there anymore.
Absolutely.
That jump is so easy, and it's so much fun.
It looks a lot of fun. So how fast or easy this boss is depends on the RNG.
Yeah.
Of course, you want the RNG to have the boss appear on the side where we are hanging out. So we want right side boss. Left side boss is just a waste of everyone's time. Oh, no.
Oh, I can't believe it gave me the grab, and then
Took it away.
that was really cheap. And I just learned something. I got 5 hits in on the first grab.
Nice. Yeah, because that was only 2 hits there.
Yeah. That's,
I want to note that the noise that boss makes is kishishishishi. It's just like they make such fascinating laughs. Slowly, you too can be more musical by collecting these legendary instruments.
there are a lot of different things that are just kind of staples of the Zelda series now that got their start in Link's Awakening. I know Link to the Past, it tends to be everybody's favorite or their first Zelda. It's definitely a classic. I'm not gonna pretend to have any gripes against it or anything. But the fishing games that are pretty standard in Zelda games now, the first one was here. It wasn't the first Zelda game with an instrument, but it's the first time that the instrument was so central to the plot. There were multiple songs to learn, multiple instruments to get. Those are all things that happened first in Link's Awakening, so it was definitely something that started off as kind of just a side project. It definitely had shaped the direction of the series in a number of ways.
We're just gonna bypass that. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. If I could pick up the item that's there first, but then I can't move the statue out the way, and that means I'm stuck into the statue, which is no good.
Not at all.
I mean, it also doesn't give me the lens of truth if I do that, unfortunately. That room is very weirdly coded.
So just taking, you know, the mermaid with us. Don't worry about it.
Oop. Too far away. There we go.
Oh, look, Marin's flying in the sky.
There we go.
Marin, what can't you do? So goodbye to that, whatever it was. It's not already.
Yep. It's is Landmala the one that jumps up and out of the ground?
Yes.
That's the one. No, that's
Yeah,
what that
okay,
was.
it's Landmala. Nice. Sometimes it is that easy, and getting the key for, I believe, the next dungeon. I got a new heart. Yeah, you can see just the more items you collect, just the speed at which you're just suddenly collecting even more items. You're not very powerful for a while at the beginning, and then very quickly you're like, and now I'm overpowered, and your new overlord. Welcome. The windfish is the least of your problems.
So the route I used to use would actually just wrong warp you to that room to get that seashell. It was very, very convenient. It was great. Then I changed the route, and it took me like weeks to remember to actually go grab that seashell. The worst feeling of ever getting to the end of the run with 19 seashells.
Oh no.
And just you're like, oh, I just lost a bunch of time. I guess we'll start another run.
Yeah, I'm assuming
Whatever.
you like have a few backups just in case.
Yeah,
or...
there's one that's very, very quick to get to. And then after that, it gets to be pretty time costly.
Yeah. So you definitely don't want to skip more than one. So even though we did just get the hook shot very recently, we're done with it. We've done all that we need it for. So since we had to trade something to that person in order to get the boomerang, we traded in the hook shot because as of right now, the boomerang is much more important and useful to us.
One other option that people usually trade in is the shovel, but I still need a shovel for a couple of things, and it saves me a lot of backtracking to hold on to it. Whoopsies. Okay. Get rid of me.
Ocarina, please. This is not your game. So, also new to this game, you can kill the chickens. So
It's the only game in the series you can do this.
Yeah, and so we're doing this in order to get the 6 kills required for the next trip into the kennel world. So yeah, 1 hit from the magic rod and goodbye. But you do have to make sure when killing things with the fire rod that they are fully dead before you scroll off the screen. Otherwise, they don't actually die, and so it doesn't count towards your kill count. And when using glitches that depend on that kill count, that is really important.
Yep. Now, if you go in with if you undercount and you go in with 5, get down. Ooh. As a matter of fact, I think I did exactly what I was talking about. So that's what happens when you get into 5. You can't scroll down. The entire bottom border of the screen is just impassable terrain. But you can save and quit and leave the kennel world and go try again. It stinks. It just lost a bunch of time, but you can continue to run. It's no big deal. If you go in with 7, you can save and quit, but you'll save and quit and respawn inside the kennel world, which is very bad. Because it's a very difficult kennel world to move around in. Need one more. So you have to do multiple frame perfect, nearly frame perfect screen warps to get to a ladder to get into Dungeon 2, which is probably not where you wanted to go to begin with. The That's just not good.
I thought you were going to attack Bow Wow there for a second. I was going to be like, no, the bow is so pretty.
So now we're at the dungeon 4, and I've already got the flippers. And there is a staircase that takes you right to the boss room, so we're not actually going to see dungeon 4 here. We're just going to go right over here and go to the fight. Ooh, And bomb arrows take this guy out in 3 hits. I think it's 16 sword slashes and arrows. 12 or 6. It's a lot more. A lot more.
Oh, and hey, look, that door's open now. So here's a question. If you just didn't want to fight the bosses for some reason, could you just kennel warp or something into the instrument rooms? Or
You can spin warp into the instrument rooms. Some dungeons, the room's an easier place to get to than others. Spin warping into the instrument room is not a big deal. Spin warping into the room where you actually fight the boss can be tricky sometimes. Sometimes the game doesn't like doing that, and it will freeze from time to time, especially in Dungeon 1, where you have just a straight shot into the Dungeon 1 boss room from multiple angles. There are lots of ways you could screen warp into it and skip it getting the key, and every single one of them freezes the game.
yeah. And you'll notice as he was triggering this cutscene, he swung his sword and then suddenly started swaying to the left. So when you trigger a cutscene at the same time you swing your sword, you retain a certain amount of movement. So it allowed him to move to the left of the screen, so to save a tiny bit of time when it's time to exit the screen. And with a speedrun, every little bit counts.
And you use Song 2 quite a bit in the no out of bounds, no save and quit category, because obviously you can't save and quit. But using Song 2 inside of Dungeon does the same thing as a save and quit. So it ends up being, getting Song 2 starts saving you tons and tons of time from preventing backtracking. And it also warps you to this lake if you use it outside. So that can be handy as well.
So making sure to pick up that secret potion, or that potion, and
I think I'm going to fall in again. Watch this.
No. Oh, you saved yourself. You did it. Did I say stairs with a true monster? I mean holes.
Exactly. Where's my shovel? There it is.
Yeah, so to further demonstrate why we do still need the shovel, there are still more seashells on our way to be collecting. And for some reason, they liked burying those. No. Holes, please. I just love a lot of the movement tech that you can do, which some of it was obviously intended, but some of it is like, they definitely did not intend you to do that.
Like that last room, I didn't use any glitches or whatever to get that heart piece, but you're supposed to use bombs or the bomb arrows and a hook shot, but you can snake a jump around to skip getting all of that.
Yes, this is another one of those screen warps, which is really important to make sure that you get the timing more correct on that one, because as you saw the first time, Mike got stuck in the wall, but thankfully save and quits make that easy to fix. How surprising.
And that just leaves a piece of heart to get. It's actually the first one you're supposed to get, the easiest one to get. It's at the bottom of the well, right at the start of the game. But we're going to be seeing that. That's going to be one of the very last items that I'm going to pick up. I want that screen warp.
So we're supposed to be doing a signpost maze in order to find this, but and even though it looks like one of the golden leaves, it is actually our next key. It's just the game, we believe, assumes that you had no choice but to get the leaves next. So it's like the next item you get in this area will be a leaf. So even though it looked like a leaf, it is actually the next key we needed.
So that, like you were talking about how stairs and pits are actually the final boss. For whatever reason, that little two-gap jump, that very easy to do two-gap jump, that doesn't require the boots.
Yeah.
That happens to me pretty much every run.
Oh,
I'll miss it
no.
like 3 or 4 times. I mean, I've practiced that jump a lot. That's how bad it is. It's such a simple jump, and I can't get it. Every time the timer's on, it goes badly. There's absolutely nothing special about that jump other than I just keep missing it.
You're just like, it just doesn't happen. And there's no regrets. So don't worry, this is totally normal.
Yeah, that's actually the nightmare room from Dungeon 7 where we fought the Mad Eagle.
No, we definitely don't want to see that again.
Nope.
So also, I hope you like Frog Song.
Yes, Frog Song's the best.
It is time.
See, it looks a little bit different. I can see, I think, what the stream output is on the wall. It looks a lot different on stream than it does on the TV.
Yeah. It's pretty magical on
It's
screen.
really magical on the screen. Where it's slowly switching from one room to the other in a somewhat painful fashion.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
you just
very
missed it. Yeah, it
different.
was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great video game.
That's also, you can see every other frame there. That was Wart, at least what's left of him after you go out of bounds a little bit.
Nothing done?
That room is special. There are a couple different rooms, and that's one of them where if you can screen warp into it, but if you screen warp in from any direction other than the top, the game's it's going to try to warp you. It doesn't know where to warp you, so it plays the warp animation, you get all the pretty music, and then the game just freezes right there, which is unfortunate. So you have to come in from the top when you enter that room. But on the top left corner is actually a pitfall, one of those tiles that breaks underneath you for you to fall through. And if you enter in on the top left corner, you fall into the hole an infinite number of times while they're singing. You end up dying, you lose your 300 rupees, you don't get the song, you lose your speed run. It's just terrible. I've only done that once, and then I learned my lesson.
You're like, once is enough.
Yeah, well, the very first time, and then never again.
Yeah. So make sure to clear out that room first. And continue on.
You?
Slime Sply.
And this is actually one of the rooms, I don't think I finished talking about, I don't think I finished my thought earlier. You can screen warp into the boss room in this one, and instead of going right at that 4-way intersection, I would just go down.
Okay.
And it won't actually freeze the game, but what it does do is it changes the spawn location of the boss, and the eyeball will spawn like at least half a screen, if not further, off the bottom of the screen. So you have to wait for him to just wiggle his way all the way back on the screen just so you can actually start the fight. So it ends up wasting a ton of time. There we go.
Yeah, so that trick he did is called Flock Skip, and what it does is by triggering the text box at the same time as kind of swinging your sword, I think it is.
You trigger the text box. You just trigger the text box as normal, but you want to jump into it. And hold on.
It moves you a few pixels, and by doing that, it allows you to just clip right through it.
Yeah, the text box gives you a couple of frames of free movement, so you can kind of wedge yourself in through the corner there.
Yeah, and even though the magic
That's
rod
not a good
there
sound.
mostly separates the eyes and will absolutely kill them afterwards, you still need the sword to just finish separating them.
Now, if you split those, if you get bad, trying to think of what, I guess it's just bad luck. If you're very unlucky there, when you split the eyes and then open the menu to switch your items, because you have to switch your items there, the eyes will split, but it won't change their hit points. So instead of taking one shot from the magic rod, it'll actually take two. And when they split, that's why I said, oh, that doesn't sound good. It sounded like I'd actually hit both of the eyes, and I was wondering if it messed with their hit points, but it ended up being okay. And that magic rod trick is to get rid of the owl on that screen.
We ain't got time for Owl.
Nope.
So I think that trick gets done a few times, or at least a couple of times, to dodge that owl.
Yep, yeah, they're especially at the beginning when we grab the sword. That's why I screen warp to the room on the left. I know that's way back at the start of the run, but that's why I screen warp to another room so I can pick up the sword, and there's no cutscene trigger in that room for the owl. I can go back to the beach where the sword's supposed to be, and the owl will still be there waiting to talk to me.
Oh, hello! I see you need a
Yes,
sword.
yeah.
You're like, I really don't.
You can skip him. But he's lying there and wait. Boy, I didn't check my seashell count before I came in. I sure hope I'm at 20. Yeah, good.
Hurrah.
There's our level 2 sword. Not the Master Sword. It's the level 2 sword in the book and the player's guide. Everything official calls it the level 2 sword, which is such a great name.
It's the Master Sword,
Yeah,
let's be real.
Yeah.
The book can fool itself, but we know the truth. None of this non-Master Sword propaganda. Okay, so only 2 instruments left to go.
Yeah, I forgot where I was going for a second. But gotta make another trip. Yeah, there. Into the counter world. So last trip, yeah, the last trip into the counter world. Definitely not our last time we're going out of bounds. But last time we're gonna see that little cave there. And if you're already familiar with this game, you know that when you move to the Kenner World, we're already in Dungeon 2. That's what the map we're walking on right now is. But I have to get back to the real world, basically, to be able to actually advance through the dungeon. I can't really do anything that I want to do in the Kenner World version of this room in particular.
So the enemies in this room actually have to be killed in a particular order. So them hanging out really close like that is problematic.
There we go. There's the ocarina again. Get out of my way.
We don't have time for you, Ocarina. We're trying to save the
That
world.
is, I cannot kill that with the fire rod. So I want to clear all the enemies in this room and whatever I can out of this one. So I'm gonna try. Oof, all right, try it again. I'm gonna try and combine a couple of different tricks here. Nope, need you to go away. Let's see. Nope, that bat carried over. You see this little bat in the bottom corner here. He moved over from the last screen like a jerk. What I was trying to do was screen warp and do the fire rod glitch at the same time. So I can move across the room, which I wanted to do, and defeat all the enemies in there, which I also need to do to make the staircase show up. But the bat moved over in the screen warp, and I did all of that hard work.
So this boss actually has multiple phases, and from what I witnessed is really much more difficult than the level 2 boss should be.
He has a ton of health, considering if you're playing casually, you probably only have 4 hearts, the 3 you start with and the one from level 1. You probably haven't finished a full heart yet. Boy, I did that kind of the slow way. But you can skip the first phase by throwing this bottle kind of out of bounds there. And you can do this with bomb arrows. I'm going to use the magic rod, though. You drop a bomb, then you try and knock him back into the bomb. And if you're super MLG pro, the knockback from the bomb will knock the genie over to the exit and save you some time walking over. But just be glad to get the trick. I've been working on the timing for that for a long time, and I haven't gotten it down pat, obviously. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we got a quick second for a donation as we enjoy this instrument song, because we have $6.49 from Vid Strickland. I would imagine that's probably a currency conversion number. I thought I understood Link's Awakening, but then I saw a key become a hookshot.
I think we all thought we understood Zelda, and we were just, yeah, we don't.
Well, if it's gonna make sense in any game, it's gonna make sense in this one because it's all a dream anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, spoiler.
Yeah, spoiler
Spoilers, it's all
alert,
a
this
dream.
game did not actually happen, right?
I'm not sure if I would want epic dreams like this or not. It's like, 'cause this is pretty involved. Would not be a restful sleep, that's for sure.
Yeah, isn't he floating in... Link's just floating in the ocean right now on a piece of driftwood, right? Yeah, that's what happens in the credits. Is he wakes up
Yeah.
and he's just floating on some driftwood.
Just like, oh, okay.
I was going to the end of the game for a second. I was just gonna go right to the...
Oh no?
I was just gonna skip Dungeon 1.
Who needs Dungeon 1? Well, the answer is you. You need
Yeah,
Dungeon
I
1.
need Dungeon 1.
Oh, the old ladies are my favorite. They're just sweeping up the beach.
They
like,
really are. They're really into it too.
Yeah. Never underestimate the power of dancing grandmas. So as you can see, level 1 has no defense against the power of the
Screen warping.
the screen
Absolutely
warping.
not.
It's just like, oh, hi there. Please, welcome to my home. Here's my boss. Please take my instrument.
The only one that's kind of tricky is this one. Because I'm supposed to use a key to get through that door, obviously, and sometimes you can just get stuck on the door, but not usually.
There you go.
That cleared out the mini-boss fight there. And right here, if you screen warp into the key here, that's a good way to freeze your game. So
Don't do that. So our friend from Link to the Past, we've missed you. Moldorm, affectionately
Get
called
outta here.
Trolldorm. However, with the level 2 sword, when this is the level 1 boss, this fight is a joke to put it mildly. But that does gain Mike his last instrument. So I think all you need left to collect is that one heart piece.
yep, we got to finish off the one heart piece. We've got to get the Dungeon 6 key,
Right.
and then we can head to the Windfish Egg and finish up the game.
I know, I'm playing this casually, and I'm like, I can only finish a dungeon in an hour, let alone the game.
Especially if it's Dungeon 7. Oh my gosh. I'm never playing Dungeon 7 in this casually ever again. It's just not worth it.
No, it's really not. Dungeon 7 is where dreams go to die. Or your love of escort quests, if you ever did like those.
So we're going to go out of bounds from here 3 times between now and the end of the run. This one just has a very conveniently located house. It's right next to the bottom of the well, where the last piece of heart is. So that's going to finish up our hearts. We've got the level 2 sword. Should just need the Dungeon 6 key. Yep. And we're pretty close to there, too. I don't think I got that. Yeah, I didn't get that screen warp.
She's just hanging out in the basement, don't worry about it. I like the just glitch monsters that pop up. It's like I don't know what you are, but you
Right.
look angry.
I always miscount this. One more. So this puts us all the way over in the Armo Shrine, where the Dungeon 6 key is. And if we go up one screen from here, there's a huge plot reveal in the room above here, but we don't need that. It makes the owl show up. We don't need that either. I just need a Dungeon 6 key, and we can save and quit all the way back to where we started. Oops. And now we can go fight, go to the Windfish Egg, but we're not going to go to the egg either. We're going to skip the whole egg maze. There are a couple ways to do it, and since I'm not on blistering fast pace here, I'm going to try and show off one special way to get in here is if you screen open in a room, you get text over the map, brought an enemy in with me, you get to fight this battle on a different tile set than you're supposed to. And he just went off the top of the screen, didn't he? He sure did.
Oh no.
No, it's no big deal. I just gotta wait for him to come back.
Yeah. I like the nice wood paneling they got installed.
Exactly. Isn't this
Very
a,
classy.
yeah, it's a very classy place to fight the last boss fight. Now, if you're, let me slow my roll here. If you're really persistent, you can actually screen warp this boss. You can screen warp the boss to other rooms, and if you're have absolutely nothing better to do, I actually did it one day. You can actually screen warp him and carry him all the way back to that poor woman's house that we started in, and just fight the last boss battle in her living room with the NPCs just there, presumably cheering you on.
That's amazing.
It's not easy to do. It's a lot of very specific screen warps you have to get, but you can drag him anywhere you want to, really.
Aghanim, why are you so mean? Even your shade.
Haha, got it. All right, so if you time your screen warp, if you time the thingy,
Flashes?
the spin attack, that's
Okay.
what I was looking for. If you time your spin attack well, and then just start slashing at him, you can just mash the sword button, and you can just keep him stun locked until you wipe out his health. And then the two forms after that go down very quickly, as you can see. The level 2 sword and boots deals a ton of damage to that one boss. And that's just going to leave Deathful form here. I just got to wait for his eyeball to open. If I didn't have Boomerang, I could use 16 arrows. If I ran out of arrows, you can actually try to drop 16 bombs on his eye. It only deals damage when his eyes open. When his eye opens, which is RNG. So you have to time your bomb throws with RNG. So I don't know how you ever gonna... I don't know how anybody figured out you could deal damage with the bombs, but... oh, I've got time here. When the screen fades to white, boom!
But yeah, the boomerang, for some reason, just one-shot
One
kill
shot
it.
from the boomerang. It's a lot of work to get the boomerang, so you only pick it up in 100%. It doesn't really help you out in other categories. But that is it for Link's Awakening. Thank you so much for taking a crash course in the run. Thank you so much. That added
That's
so
worth
much
it.
to the speed run, being able to do this live.
Thanks for running this and showing everyone, all of us, how amazing this category is.
Yes.
Sure, Mike will help out anyone who wants to learn this.
Yeah, so that it won't just be me, and as soon as somebody else puts a time up, it can be, instead of uncontested world record, I could take the first two words off, and it'll just be a world record, instead of just,
But
me.
the word uncontested.
It takes away so much, but it's okay. But if you want to learn, the categories that are on the actual leaderboard, the Link's Awakening community is fantastic. There's actually a Link's Awakening randomizer now that is for the DX version, because you can randomize anything
Yes, you
nowadays.
can. Yep.
But yeah, that is pretty much it for me.